All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is one of my homebrew D&D campaigns and my weird, messed up homebrew D&D campaign setting, and the people below me are the people that are finally in Tier 4 of adventuring. And everyone says how high level D&D isn't fun. Can kiss my ass. High level D&D is super fun and awesome. It just takes time to learn how to do it. So yeah, announcements. I don't think I have any announcements. Metroid HQ had their Metroid-a-thon thing this past weekend, I think. I don't remember how much money they raised, but it was good. I have a couple friends that, like Elias, one of my players in my Zelda game, helps run Metroid HQ, so I always cheer on for that, and I just forgot about it. Other than that, yeah, I don't think anything big is happening right now. Armored Core 6 comes out like tomorrow, so that's cool. I'm excited. Otherwise,
we're all playing Baldur's Gate 3.
yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, great game. I was lucky enough to have some very kind souls gift it to me. And yeah, monks still are awesome and will always be awesome. So, I think it's time for us to return to the legend of the Three Kingdoms. The party has conquered the Demise Tower. After entering and competing with a strange force that tried to convince them to leave their weapons and armor behind, they ascended the tower in a rather random fashion, finding out that simply heading up the stairs would not lead them to the next floor above them. It would randomly transport them throughout. Eventually, through pure happenstance, they arrived at the top floor of the tower to find the king and queen of Alakovia, trapped in their own personal nightmares. Through a combination of guile and love, the party was able to rescue them, only to discover the warden was rather upset. Seeking a quick end to the proceedings, Argenta decided to create another bargain with the dark powers that seemingly hold sway over the lands of Cruciatalia. The bargain was rather simple. The dark powers would tell Argenta how to kill this creature, and Argenta was required not only to kill it in the most excruciating way possible, extending the suffering of this creature as much as possible, but also no one in the party was allowed to look away. After agreeing to the deal, they discovered that the warden was Leopold, the former love interest of Vala. Vala, having to come to terms with what Leopold had become, aided in the destruction of this person. After everything was said and done, the death of the warden seemed to end most of the enchantments on the tower. and the party proceeded to go floor by floor, rescuing the various prisoners and bringing them to the boat at the bottom to hopefully bring them back to Surcoat. And that is where we return. So, I know last week we kind of fast forwarded to going to Surcoat, but we had a couple things to kind of tie up in Demise Tower before we get there. So we're going to rewind just a little bit. You guys have, for the past few hours actually, have been going to various floors and just kind of getting everybody out of their cells. And each interaction is a little bit different and unique. The people that have been there for the longest, even after the magic fades, are still in a near catatonic state and require a little bit of stimulation in order to just kind of re-exist in the waking world. And then ones that have been sent there more recently are kind of dealing with a very wide spread of emotions. Everything from, gratitude and excitement about no longer being trapped in that realm of nothingness, to people kind of exhibiting kind of fear and mental scarring from having endured it, even for the shorter amount of time that they had.
There's probably more than a few that were like the queen, like, nope, it's another trick. Nope, nope, not actually free. Nope, it's another trick.
So, yeah, overall, you guys, with the help of the other prisoners that were a little bit better off and better able to handle what was going on, you guys were able to slowly kind of ferry them out. You still only have access to the one boat, so getting everyone, because there's close to probably 150 to 200 prisoners in this tower. Getting everyone out takes a bunch of rides, and so you guys have been kind of working with all of this for hours.
Do not touch the water.
And you guys are finally to the last boat of prisoners has just left, and you guys basically just have to wait for it to come back. So, that being said, what would you all like to do?
Relwyn, during the time, like, as it's getting closer towards the, getting closer towards, it's going to be us. He's going to be like, as getting closer, he'll keep putting off and like letting someone else go, and he's going to excuse himself. So like, I just, everyone takes care of that. I need a moment. I just need a moment by myself. And he's kind of, he's not looking at anyone, but it's in a process of, he's not avoiding eye contact because he's hiding anything. It's more along the lines, he's avoiding contact because he's over processing right now.
Okay.
And he tells everyone, like, I need a moment. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go up the next floor for a second. And he's just going, before he even gets a response, he's just going to go up.
Okay.
Be careful not to get it stuck in any Vala-like situations.
Yeah, he doesn't even respond.
So you guys, again, as you're sitting on the dock area, you guys hear the kind of slow, methodical steps as he continues up to the actual floors of the tower itself. You guys are in the dock area. Rowan, as you come up into the tower, despite the fact that it's been less than a day since you first came here, coming back up to the first floor after all the prisoners have been taken away, most of the enchantments have kind of faded. It's kind of a bizarre, like, returning to your elementary school.
I was just thinking
graduated.
That. It's like when you're at school, like for like an after-hour project thing, and there's literally no one there.
And it just
it's a weird vibe.
it feels weird, and it somehow feels smaller than you remember it. And looking around, the only thing that seems to still have some sort of magic in it, that central shaft where you guys were able to destroy Leopold. The bars that were keeping everyone out have, while you guys were clearing everyone else out, you saw them effectively slowly descend through every single floor to the point where now the entire center shaft is open on every single floor. What would you like to do?
I would imagine the first thing Relwyn notices is like the those markings are still on each floor. I would imagine he sees the first one
Yep.
designating whatever. Like he glances at that and kind of takes a breath, and he just, in terms of context, he would. So I'm guessing if I'm approaching from the south, he will just stop right there on the map. He'll just stop right there before there, and I think if anyone does take a sneak a peek or whatever, or if anyone just watching in general, at first he kind of just looks around, and he's just looking at the lens, and he's just for very long he's just kind of seems like he's lost in thought, and he's then just slowly takes a knee, and I think at some point if anyone were to see him, they would think they might make the mistake that he's praying, because his hands are clasped and he's kind of like rocking back and forth a little bit, but then eventually that stops and his hands hit the ground. He's just in fist form, and his hands just shake, and then until then they finally go palms out, and he's resting on there, and he's having a hard time breathing, and it's just there, and he's crying, but it's not like the racking sob, keeping convulsive. It is just the tears are just running down, and that's it. And he's there, and he closes his eyes again, and he's just going through everything that's happened to him.
To add some flavor, as you are sitting there and are feeling kind of the waves of various emotions kind of flowing through you, and you kind of slam your hands on the ground, and you can feel the tears start to flow. You feel dampness around your face, and just kind of nonchalantly wipe your brow, and you notice a rust color on your gauntlets as you wipe away the brow, and you realize you are in such an emotional turmoil that you are starting to sweat blood. And you can feel like your chest starts to become heavier.
I think he sees that, and now it suddenly goes from that until that. And as now he's just like, oh, now this is one more thing. Sure, let's have this now too. And now his muscles are tensing, and I understand you said that was spotless, but I think that was before like the magic has worn off, and there's been a lot of people tromping down, and we've escorted through. So I'd imagine at bare minimum there's like particulate detritus type stuff, the odd type ends, just from like
on like the ground, or in the central chamber still has its enchantment, so the central shaft is still kind of pristine. Everything else, there's nothing stopping particulate and stuff. So now it's showing decades of wear.
But just the general type stuff, and I think as he's getting there, his eyes are clamped. He's like racking back and forth, and he's just going back and forth, and he's going there, and it's like, for flavor, it's starting to get brighter, just a little bit brighter and a little bit brighter. And I think if anyone does notice, like dust in sunlight, how you see like that go through, but it's going up. And it's lifting up as he's just running back and forth, and he's just there, and until his laughter finally stops, and he's just there, and the particulates stop, halfway. His head tilts back, and it's just, and instead of it being an indigo, leaky black, it's just pure white as he looks up at the lens, and he just, and I'm not going to blow up the speakers here, but he just, and he, and the full focus of his attention now is the center lens as he busts loose with sunburst just into there. And I put it in chat if you want to take a look at that. And yeah,
So, as you kind of sit there and you can feel kind of not just the emotions of the event, but the emotions of your entire life have been kind of building up. You're kind of going back through flashes of your life now that you understand what this world really is. Every single to the time where you could have spoken out but didn't for fear of being branded a heretic and losing your access to your mentor, and the cleric that trained you, being
staying quiet means survival.
Mhm.
Staying quiet means the monster won't get you.
And then other situations where you saw, you stood over people as the light kind of left their eyes, and you never had the ability to kind of comfort them with the idea of the Dark Lady's benevolence and welcoming death. They died fearing the Dark Lady and what the passage of death was going to be like for them. And all of these emotions just keep kind of building up in you, and you keep getting this kind of repeating mantra kind of going through your mind of, it was all a lie. It was all a lie, and I now know the truth. I cannot keep speaking the lies. I cannot. And then as it just turns into this huge amount of turmoil, this burst of daylight shoots out from you, and you see it go into the center shaft of the tower, and you watch as it goes in. There's an explosion of light of every color imaginable, and you watch as it shoots up, going further and further. You fall forward just from the expression as you look up. You can see going all the way through the tower, going up 20 floors, and then you watch as it shoots through the top of the tower. For those of you
Yeah, God knows what anyone outside the tower
Yeah.
has just seen.
for those of you that are still in the docks, you guys are just kind of waiting, and you see the boats coming, and then you hear this incredibly loud kind of yelling sound. And as you look out the dock exit, you can see kind of the black waters and darkness, because all around Demise Tower, all around Cruciatalia, it's mostly, it's almost always covered in clouds. You guys haven't seen stars or the sun or anything since you got here for the most part. It's a permanently overcast place. As you look outside, it's relatively late in the evening at this particular point in time, so it's pretty dark. And you watch as outside goes from darkness to bright daylight, and you can see every single way, or every single bit of reflection off of the almost kind of glass surface of this lake. You can see the other shore of the lake, and you can even see little bits of Scorn Moat, because the light has just, or the sky has just erupted in an intense, bright, blue-white light. Back to Rowan, as you're sitting there and you're watching this display of arcane and divine energy, you suddenly feel your chest start to burn, and then you watch as your arms start to kind of heat up as well, and you start seeing the armor that you're wearing starts to glow. It starts as this strange kind of rust red, because the armor itself, from you profusely sweating blood, had started getting this color of rust to it. And you watch as it glows, you watch as the particulates of the blood that is kind of soaked into your armor start to evaporate out, and the armor itself looks pristine. And then you watch as cloth starts to lay over it, a deep, pure indigo cloth outlined in silver. You can see as the cloth continues to form down your front, you can see a massive symbol of the Dark Lady outlined in silver thread and cast on a deep indigo background. And you feel this intense amount of power kind of infusing your garments and surcoat that has now come to envelop your armor. And I have to remember what I have written here. I swear I'm better at this than I make it appear. So the surcoat of proclaimed truth appears, covering all of your armor. And then the light itself slowly starts to fade, and you are now wearing this kind of immaculate looking surcoat. All of the kind of grime that was on your shield, on your weapon, on your armor, seems to have evaporated, and now it has been replaced by this divine sigil of the Dark Lady. What would you like to do?
I think Rowan's going to be just in shock at what he just did, and two, he's looking down at what just happened. I think he's just going to be there for a moment. I think I'll give someone else a chance to think
Okay.
if they're doing anything after what the hell I just did.
Back to the rest of you. Again, you just saw night turn into day, and the boat is returned, but Rowan is still in the upper floors, and you guys did hear this kind of almost bestial scream come from the upper floors right as night turned to day. What would you all like to do?
I see what I do. We remember one to see what was going on.
Okay.
Yeah, Argento would be going to.
So, as you guys run up the stairs, you guys see a figure that at first you don't recognize. The figure itself is wearing this rather immaculate-looking surcoat, which, for those of you that aren't familiar with what it is, a surcoat is basically something that's worn over armor that was used to identify heraldry, other things like that. Later on, when I think brigandines started becoming a little bit more popular, it would be kind of combined with a brigandine. But for the most part, it was just worn over your armor to kind of identify you. You would put your coat of arms on it, things like that. And it could be either sleeveless or have sleeves. This particular one is full-sleeved, has a slit down the middle and goes down to about mid-calf. So kind of like a very long tunic. And you can see on the back of it is this brightly embroidered symbol of the Dark Lady on a kind of sea of indigo, embroidered in this kind of silver, almost kind of glowing silver thread. And as you guys kind of look more, you start to realize that this is Rowan, but you've never seen him wear a surcoat of any sort. He just had his chainmail on before.
I just kind of look at it, and it's like when my cloak appeared.
Yeah, it is. Would I would say anything about the school other than obviously the symbol of the dark lady?
That's really the only thing that you recognize. You've never heard, again, with your experience worshiping the Dark Lady being almost exclusively limited to Cruciatalia, you don't know a ton outside of the dogma that was taught to you by the church. But you've never heard of anything like this happening before. And you know that even members of the church were hesitant to wear large declarations of the Dark Lady because not only did it upset people, it unsettled people, but the Dark Lord allowed the church to exist because the church kind of acknowledged that the Dark Lord was more powerful than the Dark Lady, and he was who gave her power. And if you started wearing too much iconography of the Dark Lady, you would start to give the idea that you were more interested in worshiping her than the Dark Lord, and that would always get him angry. So seeing someone wear it blatantly like this is something that you've never heard of, not in Cruciate.
I did grow up in the house of my
Oh yeah.
father was.
Even then, you've never heard of something like this specifically. But even in the Three Kingdoms, unless you were a practicing cleric or priest of the Dark Lady, you didn't generally tend to wear iconography too blatantly. Not for fear of people getting upset with you or anything, but it was an unsettling thing to have the symbol of the goddess of death just everywhere. So this goes beyond anything you've seen before. So Rowan, you kind of wipe your brow and you notice that the blood has gone. You realize that there are people behind you now staring at you. What would you like to do?
Rowan does that, and he's been like the entire time was staring at the lens and just became very calm. Turns around and sees the party. It's the boat's back.
Yeah.
Are you okay? There was an explosion of light, and
You really him.
Glasses back on. I'm much better, thank you. We should get on the boat. We have work to do.
Can I
Sure. Go and roll me an insight.
You really feeling away for
Has he just been possessed? And now you guys have a new thing to kill.
Jody, now.
Yeah, looking at him, there's nothing. First of all, in the brief amount of time that you've known Rowan, Rowan has never been someone to kind of blatantly lie. He seems to be relatively good at kind of keeping things to himself. But when
The only exception being the potion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
but
know
when he
that was.
when he speaks, he generally tends to be truthful, and he's not a particularly adept liar. So kind of looking at him and looking at the way
Fair
that
point.
he's
It took a magic potion to make him a good liar.
yeah, kind of looking at kind of his posture and everything. Like you guys, all of you guys probably wouldn't even notice until now because it's gone. But Rowan had kind of started developing a bit of a hunch. He was keeping his eyes downcast most of the time. Like he was giving off all the signs of someone that was dealing with something rather big. And because all of you were dealing with things, you guys probably didn't notice that much. But now you watch, like, his shoulders are back. He looks people in the eyes. He looks forward instead of down. Like, everything about him seems massively different.
The most unsettling thing for you would probably be that he's very calm now.
Yeah.
But it's not that detached fugue state calm. It's like, yes, everything's fine now. It's not like that.
You look better.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
She just said you look better.
Thank you.
As Relwyn goes strolling away, Vala is just going to use prestidigitation to create like a background music, like as Relwyn is just strutting down to the docks.
Just for context, Rowan has no idea what the fuck you guys saw outside. God's lightsaber got turned on.
It's a sky beam. We are officially in the third act.
Oh shit, y'all, it's Luxor.
Yep, now the giant, the massive battle with thousands of participants happens, because that's how it always works.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I think
Right.
I was watching Suicide Squad, the first one, and they had that massive beam in the sky, and then this huge fight, and it's like, oh look, the obligatory Lord of the Rings massive fight. And I just remember thinking, are we going to have like the Sesame Street movie that just randomly, and then there's a massive battle between the Muppets and the humans? It was every single movie that came out for like 6 years had one. So yeah, unless you guys have other things you want to do in the Mice Tower.
Yeah, we can rewind a little bit.
Sure. We've done it
While
once.
we were freeing everybody,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been searching for anyone I might have known that might recognize them. I'm looking primarily for my mom, who I believe my dad said was sent to Italia,
Mm-hmm.
as well as my friend Rosa, who was the servant for my other friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, having lived in Scornmote, which is basically if people were going to be sent to Demise Tower, they came through Scornmote. And in the, I think it was like 6 months that you were there, you only saw, I think, 3 groups of prisoners go to Demise Tower. And you remember it being a big deal because it was a relatively rare thing, and being told that these were the worst of the worst. And because of that, you could actually remember most of them, because there's only about half a dozen prisoners in total while you were there. And the kind of bizarre thing that you notice is none of the prisoners that you remember going, you found on your way down. You also didn't find your mother or your friend. So that in and of itself doesn't make a lot of sense to you, because you didn't find bodies in the tower. So it's not like they came here and were killed or something. They just don't seem to exist. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else from you, good guys?
No.
I think again, as the reminder of notifying the sheriff back there, Roland would have used another tick off the
Oh, yeah.
what did I call it? I think you call it the yeah
Pearl
the
of
pearl.
Brief Discourse.
Yep. And you use that just to inform us, like we're on our way now. There will be some people. Some will need help adjusting more
Okay.
than others.
You're at, no, the enchantment's gone, so it doesn't matter anymore. So to say, before, they didn't work. But I don't think you guys tried using them, so you would.
Oh, this happened after the tower.
Yeah. So he's been informed, and he's getting a group together to kind of bring everyone in. Did anyone else have something they wanted to do?
At some point, possibly on the way down, I will have also informed the king and queen that we have been working to free the vampire council,
Mm-hmm.
and how they have been taken as things, as trophies, as playthings. And I think we're almost up to half of them, if not past that. So.
Okay.
And try to just give them intel on what we know, so that way we can figure out what their next steps are going to be.
The only thing Argent is like, oh yeah, they made the what is the leader of not the marshy place? I'm blinking on his name.
Oh, Fenrish.
Yeah, what were they called? The Blood
They were
Pact?
called the Blood Pack.
Blood
Okay.
Pact.
The Blood Pact are tax collectors. If anyone talks about the tax collectors, it's the Blood Pact.
They seem to be working with the Dark Lord.
Roland also mentioned. Because of just like he'll look at contact, but he was just like, yes. Also, returning back, you should also be aware that the former nobility that occupied there they weren't generally well received, and no one's missing those nobility that have disappeared. I would probably recommend not necessarily hiding who you are, but maybe not playing up nobility too much. They've been through a lot, and their attitude right now probably still too accepting of anything above a certain station.
He seems to agree. Anything else? Cool. So you guys get on the final boat. As you cross, and I can move us back to this. Oops, that would be the wrong one. I want that one. There we
Holy
go.
shit, you guys are back home.
And you're home. All done. As you cross Demise Lake, or the Lake of Demise, for possibly the final time, you guys notice that the lake itself, again, every time you've crossed it thus far, it has been almost glass-like calm. And as you're going, it's still a relatively calm lake. You're not seeing like waves or anything. But you guys do notice every so often you'll see like the splash of a fish coming to the surface. Or the things like that, kind of showing that the lake itself seems to be kind of waking up in addition to the tower waking.
Vala's reflexes are on edge because of the last time we had to fight a lake. No, it was a river.
Yeah, it was a river, totally different. So, when you guys get to the beach, you can see this large group of people that are still kind of aimless, kind of waiting for someone to tell them what to do. And again, without too much difficulty, you take them with a group this large. You guys, the group itself decides that they don't want to try and camp on the side of the lake. So you guys travel for about an hour inland and then make camp because it is very late at this point. So you guys can all take a little long rest.
Vala just starts
Yay.
pulling tents out of her bag.
You get a tent, and you get a tent. Vala has turned into Oprah. By the next morning, another thing that seems slightly odd. This whole area here between Scornmote and Demise Tower is kind of like a dead field. There's grass, but it's not particularly lively. There's very little sound of insects or anything like that. Everything is just kind of a little bit dead. And when you guys wake up, the first thing that you notice is just how much more alive the area seems. Like you start seeing crickets and things like that jumping around, and you can hear the songs of warblers in the distance. With Demise Tower finally effectively being closed, it seems that the whole area seems to be kind of waking up from a deep slumber. And by the time you guys get to Scornmote, because it's such a large group, it takes you it takes you a full day to get back to Scornmote. But when you get there, you are greeted by a pretty decent amount of the remaining population of Scornmote that have all come to kind of direct people to different parts of the city where there are empty houses, and you guys can see, probably about an hour before you get there, you can see bonfires being lit. And as you get there, there is a pretty extensive amount of food waiting. It's mostly like a really large stew, and then like bread and other things that you can dip in the stew. Because they had to cook for a very large population, and that was the easiest way to do it. But they come with food. They come with. You see somebody in one of the houses was actually able to find a wine cellar, and as opposed to trying to dole out individual bottles of wine, they basically made kind of a sangria with a few different wines and some fruit and stuff like that. And so they're just kind of handing out drinks and things like that. The sheriff comes over and goes, "Well, seems that you are all full of surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of these days, you and I are going to meet, and you're not going to bring a whole hell of a lot of work for me. And that's going to be a very nice day. But that day is not today."
No.
Unfortunately, it is not.
I been hearing some whispers that we might have us a celebrity amongst y'all.
Well, I mean, oh, wait. So sorry. Yes, two actually. Those of whom the top floor were reserved.
I don't think I have to impress upon you all how much the regular populace is not particularly fond of those of the ruling class in general.
They've already been informed about that.
I think it'd be in everyone's best interest if y'all might make an introduction, and then they can come and just stay with me for a little bit. That way we can start organizing whatever kind of resistance y'all are gonna eventually come up with. Because we've gone far past the point of no return. The idea of just going back to the way things was.
They both have good heads on their shoulders. I can also assure you, one of them is from what limited exposure we saw, is a keen strategist.
Well, that'll be useful. There's been some whispers. We had vampires decided to leave us. They mentioned that y'all been forming a resistance closer up to Middenwell. I'm thinking, as much as caves in the middle of nowhere, real nice this time of year, with the rather extensive secret caves and the like underneath the city here, and the fact that the city already looks abandoned, I think it might be in their best interest to maybe bring them all over here. That way, we don't have to worry about someone accidentally randomly coming across them, and we can get everyone in one spot, so as we can plan more effectively, if you know what I mean.
Man,
First
that
idea.
the with that well, too far do we want our hands and one back and so the is too the two nobles and the vampires don't really go. So
Well, interesting times make for strange bedfellows, and if I've got to beat some sense into anybody, why that just might make this whole thing that much more worthwhile. Always imagine how much fun it'd be to get a noble to actually listen to the bullshit that comes out of their mouths. I've also been told that there might be a kind of hideaway in the forest up north.
Yeah, so another town we freed, the populace decided to move into the forest and form a sort of village.
Well,
Kind of a camp town inside of Milborn.
Yeah.
Scormote's probably going to come ground zero for a bunch of nasty things. Anyone that stays here is going to most likely need to know how to use a sword or sling spells, whatever your poison is. Any non-combatants, I think it might be in their best interests, head north. Meet up with these other people. Forest, a little bit easier than a cave to keep concealed, and apparently that particular forest ain't particularly nice to those who are there uninvited. So women
Yes.
that don't want to fight, children, the elderly, might be best if you have a way to contact the people up there, let them know that they might be getting some more friends.
I think Vala could send a sending or two.
I can be of use.
Fantastic. Well, you folks done accomplished another miracle. Yeah, you keep doing things like this, people are just going to expect it every single time. Your lives are going to just get unbearable. Maybe try doing the minimum every so often. Keep people's expectations low.
What can we say? We're full of surprises.
I'll drink to that. Now, I have a king and queen to find lodgings for and a rebellion to get started. So, if it's all the same to you all, I'm going to go get me the largest flagon of whatever that alcohol is and drink until I barely remember the rest of the night.
All right.
And you watch him wander off.
All right. So, yeah, Vala will use some sending. Let the vampire lords know about the plan.
Okay.
I'll also mention about the king and queen being freed and them being here, and how we've destroyed Demise Tower and things are uh, uh, less dismal around here. Life is coming back.
Okay. That's going to take multiple sendings, by the way.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and use up 6 spell slots.
Okay. That'll be
Since
more
why
than
not?
enough.
Yeah.
I mean, you could
And
also,
then I'll
look,
also-
depends how verbose you want to be. Just like, hey, fuck around, found out.
This is Vala.
You up?
We did what we do best. You're not pooping, are you?
Are you pooping?
She
Uh,
know.
Do vampires poop? I will also contact my uncle, let him know. We may have some
There's some
innocents
fries
that
and shit.
need to be sheltered.
You
So
get kind of a curt response from the from various members of the Blood Council, and then I'm assuming you also contact your well, you have family up in the
yeah,
forest.
my uncle in the village.
Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle in the village.
So your uncle kind of gets what you're saying, and he also asks you to deliver a message to someone named Argenta, to tell her that one of her acquaintances has been working with the village to keep it better hidden.
Does he say? Did he give a name?
Absolutely, and I totally remember the name.
Beauregard.
There we go.
Beauregard?
Her not stepbrother, her adoptive brother.
Got it. So yeah, I will pass that along.
And he also mentions that Beauregard might have learned a new trick or two for the next time he sees Argenta.
That's good news. He made it.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, while everybody's partying, I'm just
So, you guys would notice that the sky over Demise Tower, the clouds seem to have parted, as far as you can tell, permanently, and you can actually see stars above the Demise Tower. The sheriff also asks, by the way, did one of y'all decide to scorch the sky somehow? Or one of y'all learn a new magic spell that creates a giant laser beam or something like that? Because last night, it was a great night. Calm, and then it went from night to day in about half a second.
Rowan, like, as he's hearing the description, goes like,
Y'all wouldn't know exactly why that happened, would you?
oh.
I will overwhelm.
Sorry.
You know what?
watching the.
I don't need to know. Whatever y'all did, I don't think I've ever seen the stars before. Seems kind of nice.
I think Rowan actually does, like, he looks over. Oh. Huh. I know Rowan's, if that's true, like, Rowan's never seen stars before. He's like, oh, those are stars.
Yes. Um,
It's one of the weird things where you are completely aware of what stars are and their purpose, but you've never actually seen them in your entire life. And everyone
It's
in
like the
Crustitalia
heavens.
knows that stars exist. They've just never seen them before.
I don't know how that fits in with my cosmological model of where we are, but they're very pretty. It's good to see them again.
Well, I from what we had how the night sky was anything with the night sky in the three kingdoms.
As far as you guys can tell, well, anyone that wants to make me a survival check.
Right?
I'll say Lillian and Argenta, if you guys want to make it, you can do it with advantage since both of you have probably used the stars before.
Rowan is definitely going to ask because he has no. I'm not even going to make him roll because he wouldn't fucking know.
I
He
rolled a 25.
Okay.
And I rolled a 23.
Okay.
Rowan's going to ask if this is a pocket dimension. Where are the stars coming from?
So as you two, Lillian and Argenta, as you guys kind of look up, you start looking for familiar constellations. And you do start finding a few of them, but the problem is, you'll see like each one of the gods has their own constellation, and they're in different parts of the sky. And as you guys are looking, you do see a couple constellations that look familiar to you in this tiny little corner of the sky that you can see because it's only above Demise Tower that there's an opening. But looking at it, you see constellations that are on opposite sides of the sky right next to each other. So as much as the sky somewhat looks familiar, it is still alien in the idea that there's no possible way that for example, the constellation associated with the dark lady is referred to as the sunset of the dark, and it effectively creates the shape of the holy symbol of the dark lady and a horizon, and so it's going down from the horizon, and so that is normally in the southern sky. And then for the constellation that's attached to the Almighty Magus, what it is it's basically kind of a starburst shape, where you see just kind of a regular old kind of 5-pointed star shape, and then there are kind of lines that come off it of stars, and that's the one that's associated with the Almighty Magus, and that's normally in the eastern sky, and those are right next to each other in this little kind of corner out. So again, familiarity and yet not.
Hey,
I
to answer
think,
wrong. But
I think if I hear Roman, can you wonder about the stars I would explain that from?
yes, I feel that this is a creation of the Dark Lord's design, his own mind.
Yeah.
Oh, like the cells.
In a way, these constellations are in our sky, but they're in entirely different locations, whereas he's thought of them and put them right next to each other.
I don't know.
So,
I think now the point now we're at the time, but now we're at the convergence level of work where when you give new information like that, he goes,
so now that you guys have dealt with all that, you are able to eventually get a decent night's sleep. They have a former inn that's been set aside for you guys to use. You each have your own room.
I will say before I go to bed, kind of after everyone else has gone to bed, I will stay up a little bit looking at the stars, and I will use a 7th spell. I will, and why not? I'm going to use this thing, a 6th level spell.
Thought those were theoretical.
"Wait, I'm sorry, no. What, I'm sorry. Would you? What was that? What was
A 6th level spell slot. I didn't know they came in this variety either.
You're a goddamn liar."
But I would like to use that to cast Sending again. And
That's like someone used an 8th level spell to create the Eye of God shooting through the sky. Like that's just crazy.
and I will attempt to use Sending to contact or to send a message to Leopold and just say, I'm so sorry.
Unfortunately for you, as you cast the spell, because you are targeting something that doesn't exist, the spell doesn't cast.
Okay.
So,
With that,
I imagine
she'll just go back to bed, or she'll just go to bed then.
before the night wraps up, Rowan will also. Then we don't have to play through the entire thing, but Rowan will touch with Balthazar just to like touch base, just a brief meeting of the minds, give him a summation of what happened in the tower, and like he will point out, says like, tried writing it down, book didn't like that too much, and he will like in the dirt if he has to, like these are abyssal and what was going on there, because he seems to know about Elysium and Tartarus and.
he recognizes the script, though he doesn't know why he recognizes it. And he encourages you to not write it anymore.
I understand.
Because even just like writing it in the dirt and stuff like that the language itself is so infused with abyssal energy and the things like that even wherever the hell you guys are, writing it can alert beings that you don't want to, that you are dabbling in things that you shouldn't. Again, not knowing why he knows this, he effectively says people that dabble with abyssal in general tend to invite creatures from the abyss to breach the mortal plane, and every time, every letter that's written, every incantation that is said using that language fractures the kind of shell that keeps the abyss out of the other planes. He doesn't know if that's how it works here, but
well, that's concerning because one of these markings is on every floor of that tower.
Well, then he says it's an interesting development, but to be able to understand exactly what that means is probably beyond either of your expertise. But he finishes off by saying, whatever it is, it's not good.
Oh, I got that sense almost immediately.
Maybe once everyone is settled down, I'll take a pilgrimage, see what I can find there. Bare minimum, I think it would be in everyone's best interest if I just erased those letters from the walls.
The enchantment's taken off, but it's 20 floors. Please don't go alone.
Good advice. So, you all are.
Before I go to bed,
Mm-hmm.
I will go see what the king is clearly again, and I will inform them of the plan to have the members of the council or others come. Can I give them a heads up
Mm-hmm.
that this is happening? And I will also inform them that one of your spies, my father, is also trapped here. He is in another town at the moment.
Okay. The king mentions that he was briefed by the sheriff that they would be showing up, and kind of agrees with the sheriff that, strange times create strange bedfellows. The exact phraseology he used is, "We'll have time to deal with those blood eyes later. We've got bigger fish to fry."
Agreed.
Real quick, from DJ Artie. An encounter has happened, and DJ Artie the Ranger has come to inspire Vala. So, Vala, take an inspiration. That being said, anything else before you guys finally go to sleep? This has been like 20 minutes of. So as you guys go to sleep, but
I want a glass
I'd
of
like
water.
to buy
I need a glass of
70
water.
mirrors.
I have to go to the bathroom.
So now, you guys are able to get some sleep. As you wake up, you can see the town actually wakes up before you guys do. It seems that nobody or people actively avoided doing anything nearby the inn that you guys are sleeping in to give you guys plenty of time to kind of rest and recuperate. But when you get up, you can see the town itself is remarkably lively. The people that are staying have started kind of triaging the city itself and figuring out, okay, what can we repair and fix? What are things best left decrepit? What can we do to make this place still look kind of dead and deserted, but still make it habitable? And then the other half of the people are basically getting provisions together to head north on the probably close to, with how large the group is, it's probably going to take them about a week to get to the forest encampment. So that being said, what do you guys want to do?
Well, how many of the generals have we taken out so far? We've gotten 2 of them, right?
The butler and the um the Bloody Fangs.
Um, don't we believe there's one in Cloudskate?
Was that where Commander first appeared? I forget.
Yeah, Klausgate was where Commander first appeared.
From what I remember, no. Klossgate is ruled by Commander's two siblings.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think they might be generals.
Right.
Or at least one of them is, you know what I mean?
So that's an option.
If we are that far from Kate,
The large kind of thing stopping you from getting to Klausgate is there's uh, a uh, a line of mountains in between Klausgate and Scornmote that most people, to your knowledge, Liliane, no one's ever actually crossed it because the mountains themselves. It's not that they're like massively tall or anything like that, but there are a lot of monsters and other kind of strange things that live up there. And so, generally, to get to Klausgate from Scornmote, you would go through Middenwell and then through the Webwood and just use the roads.
right?
Webwood.
You guys
I
had such a good time
mean-
last time you were there.
Yeah. I mean, with the boy, how was that with? Can we use the rate?
It's theoretically possible. Thus far, the only thing that you've ever traveled on the lake with were the boats, that the only way they went was from the dock to Demise Tower and back. So, and you guys, on your first trip there, you did try kind of veering it off the path and it just wouldn't let you. So, if you guys want to try and use the lake to get around it, you can. You'll have to find a boat.
Are any of you adept sailors? I'm not.
No.
I can help you if you're feeling seasick.
It'd be a good
I mean, Dramamine already sounds like a
training
spell.
survival, but
We would need a sailor, is the issue. Like, a few people that knew what they were doing.
Well, with this size of the lake in and of itself, and the fact that there's not a ton of wind on it, you would most likely need something with its own propulsion. So rowing or something along that little line.
Yeah.
I can be very helpful if we do find a rowboat in helping the rowers keep time. I know so many sea shanties.
okay.
Or you guys can swim if you want.
Yeah, there's that.
Certain that won't cause any issues whatsoever.
Come on, let's go for a swim in the Enchanted Lake. It'll be fine. No.
No.
I do know what I didn't prepare it. I don't think I'll be able to for quite a while.
We could just go around through the webwood. Last time we just got dropped off in the middle of the webwood.
Just to ask Jody, because I had to track these fools down, and I
Mhm.
came from Misenford. I would have. Did I go through the webwood?
Yeah. When you stick to the path, the road in Webwood, it's generally not that bad. No one goes through it on their own. There are regular caravans that go from Clawsgate to Midwell and back. And the kind of rule of thumb is you don't go through the Webwood with less than 20. So that's how you would have gotten to them, is you would have gotten in one of the caravans that goes.
Imagining every time we get from one point to another, just the 8-bit version of Oregon Trail comes up with like Klausgate,
Effectively.
Middenwell.
So yeah. If you guys want, you can, like I said, if you want to try and find a boat, you can try sailing across the lake. It's a rowboat. It's like, Lake Michigan size lake. Rollback.
Is it worth trying to, one, find a vehicle of some type that will take us, and then we go through uncharted terrain? I'm worried it will just end up exerting ourselves more than the distance might be worth it.
Yeah.
The other option you guys have is, again, going through Midwell and going the regular way, or you can try and go over the mountain range itself is referred to as just the Forgotten Mountains, because nobody has gone there so long that people just like to forget that they exist.
At least it's not some kind of ridiculous name like Death Mountain.
Yeah, no, that would be pointless.
I mean, come on, guys. We're basically gods. What could possibly go wrong?
Suddenly the moon turns red.
Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. Some dumb ways to die.
I believe insulting the DM's map is one of those.
Really? Come on.
That was a shot at another game, actually.
No, I'm trying to label the map, but it's not letting me, and it's annoying me.
I think I was thinking of a song by, I can't even think of her name. But she has a line in there about character dying because they insulted the DM's maps. What's her name?
The only one I can think of is Amy Warble.
Yeah, that's it. Amy
Oh,
Warble.
it is? Oh.
Yeah.
My girlfriend plays in pretty much most of my games, and she is an artist, so she'll just throw a drawn map at me eventually.
Nice.
Well, I know. I think it's as good as it gets.
Songs in the key of D&D. I remember Amy Warple when she first made that song, the DM's Lament, back when it was the OG days, and she sung that song in the garage.
So what are you guys thinking about?
I mean, personally, I'm for either. It will probably take longer, but just taking the road at least up to the midpoint of Middenwell and then crossing over and then taking the road down to the Webwood, or the harrowing path over the Forgotten Mountains, which will probably possibly like be faster, but we're gonna run into something more than likely.
And which one of you will be assisting me the majority of the time we're going over the mountains?
What do you mean?
I have. What in any of this makes you think I have experience climbing mountains?
I can help you.
Can you?
solely with the fact that I can now. She fakes a punch. She like goes to punch a. Are there trees here?
Sure.
Okay, she goes to punch a tree. As soon as her fist connects, she teleports 10 feet away.
I'm not the best at terrain travel, but even in the limited experience I've had in such a short period of time, I'm pretty sure on a map that will be. I don't think they have a. I don't think the little scale measurement on a map would be small enough to gauge how much that will help.
So it's Jody, for these mountains,
Mm-hmm.
are we talking like the Burbank Hollywood Hills? Are we talking the Sierra Nevadas? Or are we talking like the
Probably
Rockies?
somewhere between the Rockies and the Burbank Hills. They're going to be taller than the
Okay, so
hills,
they're like the
but they're
Sierra
not.
Nevadas.
Yeah, they're not snow capped or anything like that.
No.
Yeah,
Like you guys, you,
the Sierra Nevadas are the mountain range between California and Nevada, and they're barely snow capped. So I'm just imagining
yeah.
those.
If there
I
were seasons here during the winter, they would be mostly covered in snow. But since you're basically in kind of a perpetual autumn, there's very little, if any, snow. The difficulty from it comes the terrain itself is very rocky and does not lend itself to uh, path breaking very well. Like creating a road that goes through the mountain would not be an enjoyable experience for anyone.
It would
But
take
as
a
long as
lot.
you're willing
Like,
to
yeah.
go through weird paths and stuff like that, you can get through it without having to actually, get the the pitons out and climbing up a sheer cliff or anything.
So it's like not great for making a traditional road, but if someone was determined enough, they could hike it.
Yeah, like I said, the big problem with the Forgotten Mountains is the fact that they are forgotten not because people stop thinking about them. They are actively forgotten, as in people attempt to not think about them because of the creatures that live there.
Guys, I have a foolproof plan. I can polymorph into a giant eagle 6 times a day. I can transport us one at a time across the mountains. I would probably only have to land once in the mountain times, or once in the mountain, depending on how far they are and how long it would take, since I can only maintain that shape for 1 hour at a time. So fly for an hour, land in the middle of the mountains.
And we're expecting to be absolutely unharassed the entire time. You're flying us one at a time to stopping points.
And flying back by myself, it would be fine.
I'm going to do an impression of a friend who gave me a response in the similar man. I'm going to give an impression of a friend who did this response. No.
Okay. It was just a thought. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? One of it, I die and I die while one or two people are left by themselves on the other side of the mountain range.
I mean,
That would be pretty bad.
the worst thing that happens is you are blinded by being shot in the face by mushroom spores. On the way down, a werewolf bites you, and then you survive the fall because now you're immune to bludgeoning damage that from a non-magical source. And now we're separated.
That happened one time. Well, each of those events have happened one time.
You all just fail upward.
You're not wrong.
Vala will. Whenever Vala went off on her own, it was like she rolled down into a ditch. We had to follow her, but then the ditch led to gold.
There was that one time, I think it was in the Webwood, where I was just like, we were all sitting around trying to figure out what to do, and I went to go collect some uh, uh, firewood
Uh,
to mime me burning down the forest to find our way out, and I accidentally got captured by spiders.
Will this aforementioned ditch have diamonds in it this time so I can resurrect you?
I believe I have shown you where I keep my diamonds just in case.
I don't think you have the diamond required for me to do that when we eventually find you. I think we're going to have to go to Middenwell.
I'm not.
Yeah, no, well, if we don't want to
Unless, of course,
go,
if you are confident in trying to get through the forest, I think that will also still. I think we're gonna have to. I think it's going to be exerting resources maybe we don't necessarily want,
yeah.
need to.
I do it want to put down the boat and then
Point of order, reminder, because I think Rowan does have this too. You wanted them to the shrouds, the elven shrouds.
Ah, yes, I was going to use them to uh, manufacture a new tent. But I think they said it would take them maybe a week to be able to extract some of the elvish cloth, or enough of it.
So do we go to? So I guess the real question is: do we go to Middenwell or do we go halfway to Middenwell? I've made my point counterpoint. Whatever the group wants.
I think I will leave halfway.
Halfway and then cross the
Unless,
plain.
yeah, unless anyone has a reason they need to be in Billabong.
I mean, the only reason to go all the way to Minwell is just so we can join in with another caravan
Yeah,
and have safety in numbers. But
Point of order: the caravan may need someone like us to go with them. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, it's extremely common for caravans, especially going through the Webwood, to hire mercenaries for guard duty.
That's fair.
I mean, I feel like we're overqualified, but that just means they'll have that much less trouble. So, yeah, I think there is some sense to joining up with the caravan.
Oh yes, that would be another point. If we go in with a group, we might go in less noticed,
yeah.
as opposed to just us group of assholes showing up on our own.
That is also true. You mean like kind of like being like low key and not trying to stick out like a sore thumb?
Pretending to, like Roland's gonna like try to put this in terms Val will understand. To give the appearance that we are not the type of people who will throw a fireball at a given situation to solve it.
Your lips are moving, but like no words are coming out. It's just sounds.
But it's such a well-rounded spell. This
I
is
mean, that is
Anyways.
a valid point.
That's a valid point or a valid point?
Could we fireball and put down the redwood?
You are
I would-
well. If that is a route you guys would like to go, webbing in and of itself tends to be pretty flammable.
I would not use fireball to burn down the webwood. I would use bonfire. It's a cantrip. I can cast it more often.
And
It's
hope that a
better for-
caravan is not going halfway through the wood at the time when you do that.
No,
I
I
will
think
use a spell slot to summon a divine celestial in the form of a bear to tell you not to do that. Please don't make me summon Smokey the divine angel to tell you not to do that.
I feel like I have him just on. He's on my blocked caller list.
And it's definitely not going to be a problem that you're trying to set off something the size of Sequoia National Park. That won't cause any problems. It's a good thing this is a demi-plane because we don't have to worry about like environmental concerns or anything like that.
If you fail me already, kill the river.
And I mean, the last time you guys were there, the only thing you fought were driders and giant spiders. They obviously would have no problem with you setting their homes on fire. It's not like you'd have to fight like 200 driders all at once.
I mean, the Driders would be busy fighting the forest fire.
But yeah, I'm okay going to Midwell. We'll do this low key.
Was that a taste of bile in your mouth when you said that?
I would
We'll
just
do low key.
okay, Mr. Skybeam. Are you gonna Gandalf the white those robes? Like put a gray robe over it?
No.
Okay. I'm not gonna argue with that.
Okay.
So, plan, to my understanding, hit Midwell, head south, arrive in Kloska, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, as you all leave the road to Midwell, easily about a 3 to 4 days journey on the road itself, fairly uneventful. Unfortunately, that is where we're going to end it for today. As always, if you missed any of this, I do upload all these to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/TrainerJody. And I have the next episode of Designing New Dragons already recorded. I just have to upload it. I just haven't been able to due to health stuff. So that should be showing up soon. But otherwise, again, that is all for me today. I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.